What's happening, guys? You've got Rob from Terror at Synth High. Today I had the pleasure of interviewing Lenny and Omar from Cinema Slaughter, a brand new podcast that has some things in common with Terror at Synth High. Hey, you know what sucks though?
The audio on the interview. Oh boy!
Yeah, apparently I had some settings all wonky on the Zoom video that we were using, so my mic cuts out a lot. Fortunately, you can hear them like 99% of the time, so you'll get all the good information of what's going on with them. So without further ado, let's go check them out. Some real good friends of mine, Omar and Lenny. Hey guys, Rob from
Hey, what's going on?
and I'm here with Lenny and Omar from a brand new spanking smelly anyways, from Cinema Slaughter, and you smell fine, don't worry about it. They're doing a new podcast that I feel like when me and Lenny were talking, that's going to be a little bit similar to the YouTube channel that I'm starting here. So welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really
Thanks for
excited
having
to do
us.
this. Yeah,
Excited
I'm glad you reached out, man. It was a surprise because we haven't spoken in a while, but I'm glad you did because it gives us a chance to reconnect and shoot the shit about stuff that we're passionate about, and figure out the next steps, because it's pretty cool that Omar and I are starting this podcast around the same time that you're like, something, I want to do this with horror and people who love this stuff and genre and sci-fi, and I know that you're a super slasher movie fan, and yeah, so I love the name. Terror at Synth High is perfect because it really speaks about all the stuff that we're into.
Yeah.
Sitting around talking horror and listening to horror soundtracks, like drinking some beers and hanging out and just laughing our balls off. It's Terror at Synth High is the perfect name, so I love it.
Absolutely.
Thanks. And yeah, we were talking. You know what? I saw that you guys were doing Cinema Slaughter, and I've listened to 3 of your episodes so far, and they're great, guys.
Nice.
You can
Awesome.
really tell, one of the things I really like about it, and one of the the things that I want to talk about, like on this channel in general, is you can really tell when you guys knew each other for a long time, right? And you can tell that bond, in that horror bond. You guys are easily talking off with each other and talking about these movies, and can go on forever. It was great. I love the Midsummer and with Wicker Man. Like that's two ace movies. So I really enjoyed that one.
And
Definitely.
actually, now I never heard of Rocktober Blood. I was watching on your channel, so I'm looking for that movie to get at least some kind of bootleg or something, because it just looks like a blast, man.
It really is. Rocktober Blood, for those who don't know, it was part of the underrated slashers that I did a thing on. It's a 1984 slasher movie. It's just very cheesy in all the right ways.
I love it.
They create songs just for the movie, and they're like terrible in a great hair metal way. Just fun times. So that's the kind of things that I know I'm going to be doing, is in addition to the reviews and that kind of thing. Also doing a lot of things on my side that's going to be things that are influenced by horror. So like just fun things that people can integrate in with their horror movies. Like drinking, making drinks they're based off of horror movies. Same thing with food and eating, different foods that are, derivative of horror movies, things like that, filming site location visits. So, kind of all over the place with it right now. But tell me about what you guys are doing. What you guys are doing with this, with Cinema Slaughter. What is the idea here?
Well, Omar and I, obviously, we were doing Vamps, but before Vamps came about, we'd written a couple of screenplays, and we were like, all right, we gotta pitch this, and we were floundering with doing something, but we always knew that we were gonna do something together. That whatever it was, like this was like our team. Like we enjoy talking about movies together. We enjoy writing stuff, even the screenplay, and then we do dialogue when we're doing the screenplays. We'll sit down and we have a read through together. Sometimes we incorporate his brother Ramsey, so we get multiple people doing the read through, and then that's how we polish the dialogue together and figure out the voice of the characters and stuff like that. But we haven't been doing much of that in the last I don't know, 8 months or so. It's been tough to kind of get each other, on point. Omar's been kind of doing his writing in his own thing. He's in Florida now. I'm in Orange County. His brother Ramsey, who's a director of Vamps, Ramsey's in Texas. So, getting everybody together to do this kind of stuff it's tough to, get everyone's schedules together. And a few years back, we started recording a couple of episodes of stuff that we wanted to talk about. So I think we had an Italian horror episode. It was like over an hour and 25 minutes long that we were just talking about. And we still have it. I have it saved. So I'm like, we could definitely use this again. So anyway, so we a few years back started to do a podcast, but we half-assed it. We recorded a couple of things and it just never went anywhere. Fast forward to just us sitting around and pandemic boredom getting to me, and Omar and I hadn't spoken. We spoke sporadically, and then I called him. I'm like, dude, I fucking hate when we're not at least talking about shit together, or picking each other's brains. And so finally I was like, I wanted to do a podcast, and someone else that I'm friends with, I actually write articles for a website called Flick Direct, and I write horror mostly, horror movie reviews, like Blu-ray 4K reviews and stuff like that of films old and new. And it's pretty cool. I've been doing it for like 3 years now, maybe a little bit longer. And I was talking to them, and it looks like they started a podcast for Flick Direct. I'm like, fuck, so I called Omar. I'm like, dude, let's do this already. Let's just come up, let's do our podcast. And I happened to talked about it, and just fortuitously popping up online was, hey, how to do a podcast. And it was a week-long seminar. So I was like, Omar, let's join the seminar. It was free. And obviously, if you wanted to invest in what they were selling, the additional kit and everything, you could spend up to $1,000. But I was like, Omar, I think you and I know enough, and we have enough of experience with social media that we could do some of this and be excited about it. Right from episode 1, he was like, oh, I think we should talk about Blood Machines. I'm like, fuck, yes, I've been wanting to see that. And Rob, you and I talked about Carpenter Brute the other day, and we were like, because we're both Synth fans, and Omar is as well. So I was like, well, that's a great way to start, because I want to hit on some movies that not everybody talks about. And everyone's talking about John Carpenter's, Halloween. And that's great, because I like Halloween just as much as the next horror fan. But there are so many, horror films that just don't get attention. Right. And, there's so many that are underappreciated. But unless you're a genre fan, you know what I mean? Unless you're a fanatical, die-hard horror fan, you may not even know about it. So I was like, in addition to talking about the mainstream, what?
I was saying things come out so quickly and so much. I don't even keep up with things anymore, and I consider myself, a big horror fan. And even
exactly.
And mostly my style is more of the 70s and 80s. But like even some of the great things that are coming out now, I'll find out about something like that happened 3 years ago, and I'm just like, oh, really? Oh, I wish I would know about that.
Exactly.
But you're right,
like
so many things.
We were talking about one of our episodes the other day. You mentioned it too last night when we were talking, and we were like, Beyond the Black Rainbow. That movie's 10 years old already.
I know.
And I've known about that film for a while now. I've seen it a few years back, but I found out about the movie through the soundtrack. Rest in peace, Audio Occult Records up in Beacon. But that's how I got turned on to this. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is this? And he's like, oh man, that's a very dark, very ambient soundtrack. It's this trippy ass movie. I'm like, I'm going to buy it. It was just a blind purchase. I was like, I need to listen to this, Yeah. So that's where Omar and I came into play. And we were just sitting down and saying, okay, let's do this. This is what we're going to do first. And it's kind of like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And he's like, oh, I saw this movie, I Am Mother. I'm like, well, let's fucking watch it. And I'm like, you need to see Burial Ground because you've never seen this movie. And he's like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, watch it.
You do need to see Burial Ground then.
Yeah,
I finally did. Oh,
he
man,
did see it.
Oh,
he did.
I just had such a blast with that.
I'm looking forward to the review on that one. That's a personal favorite.
It is a personal favorite. So I was like, I own this on Blu-ray. You need to see this, So anyway, it's really that way. I know you were talking earlier, like Omar and I have known each other forever, but it feels like we grew up together. But Omar lived in New Jersey. I lived in New York State. Omar and I didn't meet until I was in my late 30s, maybe the early, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Late,
you guys
Omar and I met. We met in 2003. Yeah, it feels like we did.
It was at we were working at in a call center, and
AT&T.
And people kept saying, "Oh, you're gonna love Lenny. This guy's like so into all the stuff that you're into." I'm like, "All right." So then he becomes my manager, and I'm like, then all we do all day is talk about horror films, sci-fi, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And and then after that, we decided to collaborate on a couple of things. First, it was a comic, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's right.
And then we did, Vamps. We did that as a web series, and then
what was the thing that we wrote about those the gin? What was that?
Yeah,
called?
that's what it was. It was kind of like gin meets vampires. I don't even remember the name, man.
I still have the script for that, but we should talk about that again.
I think I do too, man. I think I do too.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's it's like. I mean, I've known him since adulthood, but like as soon as we met, it was just like automatic. Like,
he's
okay.
Omar and I
thought you guys had.
Here's the funny thing.
Here's
the funny thing. I went in the department that Omar was in, and I passed by his desk. He wasn't even at his desk at that moment, but I saw a caricature of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I forget what the hell the line was on there, but it was like, get to the chopper, or something really dumb. And I'm like, whose desk is this? Because he had like Hellraiser and alien creatures and all kinds of stuff on his desk. So he's got these action figures and everything. And I'm like, all right, well, who's this guy? Oh, that's Omar. I'm like, when Omar comes back, I need to introduce myself. Because I was like, Omar and I are friends. We just don't know it yet. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I like your dolls.
One of the guys in the department came over to Omar's desk and was like, dude, I like your dolls. And we were like, dolls? Like, these are action figures, man. He's like, oh shit, I can't believe I said that. He's like, yeah,
I got Alien, Predator, Terminator, and he's telling me dolls.
Fucking hysterical.
Parking lot in Fragham, huh? So
yeah, man. So then
we met each other because I've known, and the reason why I decided to have you guys on today is because so I met Lenny when I was doing a horror appreciation club that I was doing, Orange Ulster Horror Club, where it was went around the area and did different shows at different venues. So one night it might be in like a cafe or like a bar, or we actually got some cool ones going on like up behind the cemetery for a little while, and then so he started.
That was fun. I like that.
Yeah, it was a fun time for sure. It was very taxing, but a fun time.
Bet.
And it was just cool to and then the whole purpose of that is similar to the purpose of this, but I just wanted to do something in person where could have get people all that loved the horror and appreciated it and give them a chance to have an outing. Something that was like a regularly occurring outing, because we had a couple of things around the area. Just Hudson Horror Show, which was like the best thing around the area, right? But that was only like twice a year. So I'm just like, a little kind of thing like that. And then I remember meeting Lenny. And I saw this guy's eyes lit up, and he's just like all into like all this. And we became friends like very quickly with that. And then shortly after that, to being friends for a while, then Lenny comes to me and he's just like, hey, we're making this movie. Me and my buddy making this movie, and that was Vamps that you were talking about. I guess at the time it was going to be a TV show, right? And then it progressed to
we had it as a web series at first,
right?
Yeah, like a no budget web series. And then, after a while, that's when the people from California got in touch with us and said if we could do it as a movie. So we took the episodes together and stitched them together as a film. Again, it was like no budget, but hey, that's a good way to cut your teeth.
And then he's just like, come make this movie. He's like, come to the shittiest town around the area. You can come to this warehouse in the middle of the night. And I'm just like, oh man, I haven't known this guy that long. It's going to be this kind of thing. We go and and I got to I've never worked on a movie before.
So neither did we.
yeah, right. You guys have written. I was helping out with some of the you know, the mics and like some of the grip work and the lighting and stuff. I wrote a couple of the keyboard things that I do for the movie and all. What became a movie, and then yeah, you got to meet Omar during the making of that too, and your brother as well. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I was just like, these guys work so well together, and it was just really cool seeing that. It was a cool experience for me. But just in general with Lenny, you know, we've always kind of clicked with this kind of thing, and that's why when I saw him doing this, I'm just like, oh my God, we're starting the same thing at the same time. This is like very similar in flavor, and I'm just like, we gotta collaborate. And yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, the whole thing, I mean, when Lenny said it, I was like, oh, awesome. You know, it's fantastic. You know, it's always good to network and, you know, and shoot the shit and, you know, just enjoy the whole, you know, the whole cult thing of horror and music and creativity and all that kind of stuff, you know, and appreciation for that, all that.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's you know, that's why I'm glad to have you guys here. I mean, one of the things I was just saying, you know, one of the things I'll say about Lenny is that, you know, Lenny, you live it, because you know, a lot of the people, like when I was doing this you know, this small club, you know, everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna come out. I show up with all my shit, put all my projector together, and like 3 people show up. One of them's Lenny, you know. So there are the people that say they're gonna show up and do the things and do the low support local and all that stuff. And then there are the people that actually do, and that's why I have a, you know, a lot of respect for you know, what you do with that. And
Thanks, man.
there's a warmth about you, man. And like a lot of people think it comes from your heart. I think it might come like directly from your bottom, because sometimes like you'll slap my hand away and then giggle and you know, and I'm just
He's
like,
definitely onto something there. He's onto something.
I was going to ask, you've known him longer than I have. Can you confirm or deny if the warmth comes directly from his rear end, or is it?
Oh, absolutely. It's very it's a moist warmth, you know, very
I would imagine. I can't get close enough, but you know, I think.
and robust indeed, definitely.
Yeah. I figured that was really.
I'm truly humbled by this conversation. I'm truly humbled.
See, it's
But
then it just the two.
I think the funny thing
also
is, and what I think is ironic, that most people that I know that are into and are passionate about horror, or just even grindhouse and genre films in general, are some of the nicest, you know, well-spoken, funny, down-to-earth people I've ever met. And there's no pretense about most people. I mean, there are those, you know, movie snobs, and I'm one of them sometimes. And you know,
Same
people
here.
are like, you know, how do you bitch about this movie, but then you go ahead and watch this you know, micro budget bullshit film that has a kid, you know, trying to get in his own mother's pants. You know what I mean? Like, why are you watching this movie and that's good, but
ground, I guess.
but you're shitting all over this $400 million blockbuster summer film? Why is that polished film a turd? And you know, this sleazy 1980. I'm like, well, I mean, the fact that you have to ask that question just shows me that you have no fucking clue about cinema.
It's like the answer is in the question.
Exactly.
You just answered it. It's
So
that,
I really have taken to being terrified when I was a kid. And I talk about this all the time. I tell people again and again, like, I saw Blackula when I was a kid, and that really game changed when I was terrified for the first time. Like, I was a fan of watching Vincent Price films when I was a little kid. I think I saw maybe Pit and the Pendulum when I was 7. But my first real horror film that I watched was Blackula.
I know
so that
the biggest fan
that
of that movie.
scene.
Of everyone I know, you are the biggest fan of that movie, I would have to say.
I think I am. Yeah, I think. But I just love William Marshall. And there's so much gravitas to William Marshall's voice and his demeanor, his personality. He lent dignity to whatever role he did. I mean, even he was in, you know, like Pee-wee's Playhouse, and he, you know, I was like, this guy's the real deal. You know, he was awesome. But you know, just I always wanted to be scared, and when I was a kid, that movie. Like, I leapt in the air. I jumped into my dad's lap when that woman was running down the hallway in the morgue.
oh, that infamous scene, yeah.
Yeah, and so from then on, I was like, I wanted to be scared. Like, I would have nightmares that kept me up. But then I was like, can we go see Jaws in the theater? My parents, when Jaws came around the second time, I forget what it was, like 76 or 77, they took me to see Jaws in the theater, you know, and then I was also, you know, passionate about Star Wars and sci-fi films. I remember being a kid in 79, seeing the commercial for Alien, and the music
Oh yeah.
and the scene of just that slow reveal of the egg or whatever, and then the word alien being
Words coming
spelled
together.
slowly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, those, you know, the letters rotating a little bit or whatever, and I was like, I need this in my, you know, like, this is what life is about, being terrified. And even, you know, Anita and I talk about it all the time. We're constantly chasing after being scared. Like, I'm waiting for that movie to come out that's going to scare me the way it did when I was a kid.
Right.
And it may never happen. I'm going to die waiting for that
Right.
to happen again. But one day it'll happen, and I'm going to love it.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was, I was at 13, I think it was, when I first saw, I mean, I had seen other scary stuff before, but the one, you know, because I was old enough to sort of really know what was going on. I was about 13 when I first saw The Exorcist. It was, at that point, it was old, but that movie, like, I had trouble going to sleep after, like, I was, that shit disturbed me, man.
Yeah.
But I saw it, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I didn't even know you could do that in film. You know, it was like, what the hell am I watching? But then, I mean, but then, you know, of course, after several viewings, it was okay. But I remember that first time seeing it as a kid, 13 years old, scared the living shit out of me.
Yep.
My first experience with that movie, and actually both of those movies were two that I saw very early, and I saw them when on cable. Like, and I saw, like, you know, parts of them on cable. So some of the stuff was cut out, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter for me. It scared the shit out of me. I remember
hell yeah.
vividly. I remember it was, I don't know exactly what year it was, but I was probably about 9, earlier one, and I was in a Pennsylvania motel with my parents, and my dad decided he was going to screw around with me, and he didn't, you know, know how to deal with children. So you know, he was just like, hey, come here, look at this. And it was right, you know, right before when she's one of the parts where she's tied to the bed, you know, Reagan's tied to the bed, and he's just like, just like screaming. I cut out some of the cursing, you know, but and I'm just like, I run to the bathroom and I lock the door. I lock the door. It's like eventually you're just like, we got to use that, you know, like after a couple minutes, it's like, come on out, you know, and so didn't know what to say to me, and I'm just like, what the hell, you know, I was terrified, and then I came back for more, like, immediately, you know, so
Of course you did.
That bounce,
Because that's the personality of a horror fanatic. It's like, I need more of this feeling. Like, I don't know, maybe you're adrenaline junkie. Some people like to climb a mountain. You know, I like to go into a dark theater and watch terrifying shit, you know. Unfortunately, there's less and less real terrifying movies out there. I mean, if you know, I see another Paranormal Activity, you know, those movies just do nothing for me. You know, some of the ghost movies that are out right now, you know, what the hell? I don't even remember some of the names. The Conjuring, you know, Annabelle. Most of those movies I don't really find interesting. There's a few of them, but for the most part, they keep rehashing the same themes, and I'm waiting for some new horror to come out. And luckily, in the last few years, I mean, Hereditary, Midsommar, there's been a rash of really smart, really badass horror that I just have taken to. You know, I've seen that there's a resurgence in kind of intelligent, but also they wear these, you know, influences on their sleeves too, and I really appreciate that. And man, it's just been good.
So in reference to that, let me bounce this off you and see what you guys think about this. The reasoning, what I think, you know, with some of that, you know, that I think some of those movies like Midsommar and like Hereditary, you know, which are coming back with some of the good stuff again that had been out for a while. I think for a long time in the theaters, they didn't think that, like, just a straight horror movie could get fans, right? It always had to be mixed with something else. It always had to be mixed with drama or some sort of you know, for a while which was the worst, was when it was mixed with action. I think that was the worst. And then they tried to mix with, like, you know, really dramatic, like, teen dramas and things like that. I feel like that was going on for a while. And now you know, in the last few years, you're seeing like you said, this resurgence of good horror. And
Yep.
and I, you know, not as much as I want to. Maybe I'm just a jaded old man at this point. But you know, I will, you know, some things I'll just see a trailer for and I'll just be like, gonna skip it. When, you know, honestly, I felt that about Hereditary. When I first saw it, it's like, it's getting hyped and everything. And then I saw it and I'm like, whoa, I really like that, you know? So
Yeah. Well, I jumped into the theater to see it because I was like, I really like the look of this. Like, this looks like it's going to be atmospheric and creepy. And I love, Omar, I talk about it all the time, but I love if a slow burn is done in such a way where you feel that smolder and you're just waiting for the payoff. And that movie has a really good payoff. I really liked it. And it's like The Witch. You either love it or hate it. There's very few people that I know that are on the fence about The Witch. And you're one of those people?
I like it.
Oh, wow. Well, let me say this. You're the first person I met that's on the fence because I really love The Witch. And I thought that was a great film. But that was kind of like the beginning, I think, of, you know, the last 6 years of, you know, this type of vibe. I mean, there have been a few others prior to that. Of course, there's always fun movies. I mean, shit, even when, you know, Shaun of the Dead came out, I was like, oh, horror comedy? I don't know. There's few of those that I like too. But the way they did it with such love for, like, Romero's source material, those guys were the real deal, you know, and I love every movie that they've done since. So, you know, yeah, I think I like when you mix horror with something else. I like when I see, you know, like Attack the Block is a great sci-fi movie with horror elements to it. Attack the Block is awesome.
Love it.
So,
I mean, as a matter of fact, actually, those guys, Nick Frost, and what's his name? The guys from Shaun of the Dead. They're doing something on Amazon.
Yeah, they're working on something new together.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I hope it's good.
He's in Star Wars, and he blew up, right? He was in Attack the Block.
Yeah. Oh, Attack the Block was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
So it just
mixing.
It introduced a new type of monster also that we haven't seen any new monsters in a while. You know, like aliens, predators. You know, all that, which I love, but they keep making new ones, and I'm just, come on, you know, tired of it. Introduce a new monster, and I think they did that with Attack the Block, and it was so refreshing to see a new creature. It was simple. It was just, you know, pitch black hair and glowing teeth, but it was fantastic. I loved it, you know?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it in forever, man, you know? And what do? It's trying to reproduce, so it's looking for, you know, it's picking up pheromones, and, you know, but about damn time, you know, but now the movie's getting old, and I haven't seen any new monsters, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, no.
Well, there was another one that came out. It was called Monster, I think, and that was like just a simple premise. This woman driving with her daughter in the car, right? They're on this road, and they stop in the middle of nowhere, and then they're attacked by this creature, and the creature effects were really good.
I got to see that. Because
that was another good monster movie. Or what was that? The Ritual. That was another good monster movie.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I like that one too, because they both, you know, utilized, you know, the eeriness and creepiness of isolation.
Yeah,
with
it's loosely based off of the 1977 Ritual, that survival horror movie. Have you seen that?
Oh, was it? I don't know. Was it? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, check.
Right.
I forgot it. I forgot who was in it. But there's a movie from 1977, and it is more of like a survival backwoods movie. And it was loosely based on. It wasn't as supernatural as this.
Okay.
One was.
Interesting. All right. Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I mean about you know, mixing genres. Like I just I'm not saying I hate that. What I was saying is I don't like when they try to commercialize that for the big theater and think that's the only way they can get fans in. And like that's kind of what gives me, when you're trying to blend it just for the fact of making it, the whole, you know, money catch thing for me is what I really don't like about that.
No, I get it. I mean, because sometimes, you know, you try to mix too much and you dilutes the source material, you know, and it's not necessarily scary. It's not necessarily funny, but I mean, Joe Dante came out with Gremlins, and Gremlins is a creepy ass movie. Those Gremlins are not funny. They're not fun. And I wish they, I think he softened some of that stuff, but that scene in the room, in the kitchen, that fight
Right, with
scene
the
in the
mother.
kitchen is scary, so it's, some of the stuff, even when I think, what's her name is talking about her dad getting stuck in the, in,
That scene, man, I don't know what they were thinking with that. I mean, I love the movie, but that scene just did not belong. I mean, I don't know what the hell that
no,
was.
I love that scene. I mean, so it's little things like that. There's funny stuff in that movie. I mean, even just later on, part 2, where they just went
When they
batshit
really
crazy.
started, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But so there are gems that cross over. They're few and far in between. But
It
there's a
is
ton.
too far, right? But that's the thing. Also, is that with horror, I guess aside from what Ari Aster has done, is that there's nothing fresh that's coming. Like even the haunting type movies of them being in some kind of house where or there's a kid who's seeing some kind of demon, or a doll.
Right.
It's like we've seen that a million times. Come up with something new.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but that's really up to the writers to come up with new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of a couple.
It's not easy It's not easy to do.
It's not.
It's not.
Did you guys see It Follows? That was pretty good a few years back.
I liked it. It Follows, but there was some problems that I had with the script on that.
I agree. But in terms of I like the new idea. In terms of the execution of the movie, I was so on it too. But
yeah, definitely. I thought it was an interesting premise. The whole STDs and how it chases after the people that you're with. I like that idea where that monster.
I think Tarantino said that it could have been a classic.
Yeah.
It could have, but the problem is they didn't. Yeah, what you have to do with all horror movies, you have to set the rules, and they didn't
stick to the rules.
Exactly, they didn't have rules. Things were happening. It's like, wait a minute, is that even, that's not part of the template of the monster, the demon, the whatever it is you're looking at,
Right.
So they didn't stick with that, and that's, that's what was wrong with it. And I knew subconsciously what it was, but once Tarantino said it, I'm like, son of a gun, that's what it is.
You know what I felt that way about? I felt that way about the new Child's Play remake, which I was like, nah, I don't really care if I see this or not. But then when I went to see it, I'm just like, okay, so they're making all these new this Bluetooth thing, which okay, that's great, but it didn't really make sense they never really set as to, okay, but what if that's on somebody else's Wi-Fi and now he's running around?
Oh, see, I didn't see that, but
I didn't see it either.
I wouldn't go out of my way. It was free on Hulu or something one night. So I was
all right.
Because I thought that updating that movie could actually be interesting, but it was what it was.
Well, I mean, I kind of like that idea, that what you're saying.
Exactly.
Like Bluetooth or whatever. It's like networked, creature or whatever. But it sounds kind of cool. I mean, I would watch it, but like you said, I mean, I didn't go out of my way to see it.
Right. So, guys, we're about to run out of time here.
Yeah, no worries. We're definitely going to do this again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're definitely going to do this again. So before we leave, where can we find Cinema Slaughter? Where can people find that to listen to it?
Omar, you want to do it?
Well, right now it's on Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. So we're going to add it on more.
It's going to be up on iHeartRadio soon, and there's there's other platforms for it as well. We're going to have our own website. Will be cinema-slaughter.com. That's we have a web hosting which they're in the process of finalizing now. So there'll be e-commerce there. You guys can buy some shirts and mugs and all kinds of cool stuff.
Great, sounds good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen 3 of the videos and they are awesome. It is definitely what I'm using it for is when I'm in my car. I'm taking a ride somewhere. One of my rides is actually 45 minutes, so it's like perfect.
It's the right time.
Perfect.
We're trying to stick to a 30 minutes, 35-minute range. I listened to some podcasts and they rambled on for like 2 hours sometimes, 2.5 hours. And it could be a little too long, and now I have to catch it in multiple, sessions or whatever. So we were like, let's stick to 30 minutes or a little bit, because once I get rolling, you can't shut me up. I talk over Omar. It's terrible.
There's no stopping them, boys.
That's hey, it makes it easier for me. So
Thank you guys so much for joining today. And
Thanks for asking us.
we
thanks,
are
really appreciate
same thing on my
it.
side, just kind of figuring out where what we're doing with this too. So happy to have you guys anytime to talk, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future and bouncing stuff off each other, and eventually getting together and having some beers and bullshitting about some horror movies.
Absolutely.
That sounds awesome. Can't wait.
All right, guys. See ya. We'll talk soon.
All right, Rob. We'll see you.
Take it easy.
Absolutely.
Well, that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Cinema Slaughter. We'll definitely be seeing them again soon. Those two great guys starting something really cool. So again, watch here for our next interview with them, and we'll be seeing you soon. Take care. Also, I promise we'll talk more about Lenny's delicious derriere next time too. The only reason I'm here.